Good evening, everyone. This is Robbie Chang speaking from the Tax Club. I want to welcome you all for joining us at our webinar about asset protection. We are currently broadcasting live from the Empire State Building. It's a beautiful night. I hope that you guys are comfortable at home as you listen on to this and follow along. Tonight we'll be talking about asset protection. I understand most of you are brand new business owners. I want to welcome you aboard. I want to congratulate you on making the step for becoming financially independent and starting something of your own. I want to put a disclaimer out there. The Tax Club is not a law firm. We are a very professional accounting firm that have helped many clients, such as yourselves, start off their businesses at the right foot, become successful. Hopefully, by the end of this presentation, we'll be able to cover some basic aspects of asset protection that you will be able to use in your future career and also as your ventures. So as we go on, at the end of the presentation, we'll also have a session for Q&A. So if you have any questions, please jot them down and I'll go over the questions as soon as I can at the end. So one of the things that we notice with many new business owners is many of you guys are new. We understand that most of you are experiencing many new concepts. You guys might feel a bit overwhelmed. There's so many things to worry about on top of making money, taxes, asset protection, along with other business decisions. So one of the points I want to point out is basically the basic concept of what asset protection is. And I'm putting it in a very joking manner. What is asset protection? Is it your lawyer? Your accountant? Maybe. Both of these might be. Is it your next door neighbor who knows it all, who always has something to say? Probably, but maybe not. Is it an insurance policy on your business, on yourself? That's also a maybe as well. Perhaps it's the home security system you've currently installed to protect your assets. That could be it too. Maybe you've heard some stories of other entrepreneurs who set up 10 different companies in different sections. That's a possibility as well. So what is asset protection? Now, you can think of an answer, but basically I'm going to let you know in the next slide that asset protection in a very broad sense is basically the practice of structuring your assets prior to a lawsuit so that these assets are protected from other parties. Now, when you're starting your business, you have to understand certain things in order to be successful. You have to understand basically what asset protection is, what you have to protect, from who. And as we go on, you basically learn that. What are considered assets? In a very technical term, it's anything that one possesses, normally properties or objects that one has a value that could be applied to the payment of another person's debt. Simply stated, basically anything that can be readily converted into cash. So assets could be your home, your business, your car, definitely your money, everyone's favorite, jewelry, business equipment and furniture, stakes and other investments, copyrights, trademarks, patents, and also your ability to earn. You'll notice that some of these are tangible, some of them aren't. So depending on basically what you consider to be your asset and what you place most value on, you have to basically structure your asset protection around that. Another question that we also should understand is who are we protecting our assets from? We're probably not protecting it from the people we know, but maybe we might be. There's always a general fear of loss from assets, but really from where, which direction? It's important to understand the flow of liability in order to understand how to be able to protect yourself. Basically, protection, normally speaking, for businesses is usually geared towards preventing the loss or minimizing the loss of one's assets from suits and judgments raised from frivolous lawsuits. Most people are afraid of losing their assets for being sued unfairly or perhaps for a judgment that's unfair. You also, there's usually a misconception as well as to who will usually get sued. Misconception usually is that only rich people get sued, and that's a valid even though they have certain things such as a house. Maybe you have some money in the bank account. Maybe you have some stocks. Chances are if you own a property or if you have cash, and if it's worthwhile for the other lawyer to look into, then you're probably rich. Now, lawyers and plaintiffs, that's basically a term for a party that's filing a claim against you, have basically more to gain when they're basically trying to claim against the defendant who has a substantial sum that they can get their hands on. You know, we were talking about that a little bit. Substantial doesn't have to be really big. It's just a matter of whether or not it's worth their trouble of going through a lawsuit with you. So some of the basic questions I asked before that you should always ask yourself, do you have a home? Do you have a business? And for most of you, that's yes. Does your spouse or dependents have assets? Do you have money? CD accounts, stocks, mutual funds? Or do you have something, or do you appear to have money? Those are questions that need to be raised and be pondered upon when it comes to asset protection and planning. What factors are basically put into their minds when basically people are planning lawsuits? Definitely, number one is the person worth suing. Are there any assets to that person's name? And most of the time, for most lawyers, lawyers even evaluate whether or not a case is worth their time, because they work for and get paid on a case-by-case basis. So for lawyers, it's not really hard for them to actually pull up public records to actually see whether or not an individual owns assets, owns a car, maybe even a boat, things like that that are open to the public, they can look into. And just remember that these are professionals, so these are things that you should also